This channel is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions. Hi, this is Joe. Today I'm going to talk about the spiders, the QQQ, the DIA, and the IWM. Just want to give a rundown on those, looking at both the weekly and the daily chart, looking at the momentum characteristics. And then I do want to talk about something specific, especially the way the spider is setting up. And what I want to do is I actually am going to do a video on this separate on what I do on Tuesdays, where I'm typically going into something a little bit new or something I haven't discussed in the past. But I am going to highlight this, and I want to just make sure you're aware of it, because it's not something I've discussed on this channel yet. It's related to ADX, and I do think it is important, especially with what's going on right now. So let's go ahead and get things going. I am going to start with the weekly spider on the left and a daily on the right. And, we can look at, one thing I'll do real quick is just, we can pull up the 4 time frames. I always look at the monthly, weekly, daily, hourly. We can see there's not really good momentum on the hourly, on the daily, and on the weekly. And it's finally gotten going on the monthly, but it's almost too late. So I just want to switch over and look at the 2 time frames. So that's sort of my starting point. Now, what I wanted to discuss is this decline, what's going on in the ADX here, making lower highs, and now we've made a lower peak below 25, and yet price just keeps climbing to the upside. And I really think, so the way I would look at this is I'd have my trend line in place here, which is basically the 18-week. In a lot of cases, when you draw on a trend line, it should overlap pretty closely with the 18. So in this case, it does. And so what I'm looking at is saying I've got divergence in place, but I don't really have a trigger, a sign of exhaustion or end of the trend unless we break the trend line. But let's say that price decides to climb from here. Let's say it actually accelerates even to the upside. Well, now we're going to see this ADX line actually go up, because you can see green DI is about to cross above 25. If we make a pop here to the upside in the ADX line and it crosses up above 25, I think this could fool people into believing that this is bullish and that this is a start of a new leg. But this is actually the start or the pattern for a climax using ADX, where you have divergence in place and then you get almost like a last gasp move in the ADX before things top out. And you still want to use this trend line. The trend line is going to tell you everything. Once we get a trend line break, then it would be a climax top using the ADX that way. Now, if the ADX keeps doing what it's doing and making lower peaks while this climbs higher and then this eventually breaks down, then that is still an important signal, but it's based on exhaustion rather than climax. So I think this is going to play out one of 2 ways. Either this is going to accelerate and we'll get a little pop in this and it'll make you feel like things are getting going again, but really it's ending action that's taking place. So just be on the lookout for this. I'm going to show you some examples of this pattern, this climax pattern, and I'll use individual stocks to show you in an upcoming Tuesday video. But I just wanted to make sure I talked about this now, because I do think the potential is there, that it's going to play out one of 2 ways. Either we're going to top out on exhaustion, like what's going on right now, or on an accelerated move in some form of a climax. So something to be on the lookout for there. QQQ is similar, but it doesn't have the exact same pattern. We're getting a little bit more strength out of green DI, and the ADX has climbed above 25. I do think there's divergence developing here, but it's not of the same magnitude. What we're going to want to do here, and it's very possible this is going to end on a climax as well. I think we're going to have to key off of the volume and off of the price. That's just my thought here. I don't know that we're going to get any kind of a clear signal out of this. And this really hasn't been doing much to help us anyway. We had a little mini divergence there, but it turned into a reverse divergence. And now we're going up again. I mean, I don't see any significant signals coming out of these two indicators. So I think we're looking for a move to the upside and a big spike in volume, or a big reversal bar, some signs of distribution where we're getting more volatility. These are the types of things I think you're going to be on the lookout for, or going to need to be on the lookout for, if we're going to see a top form in the QQQ. So again, where I'd be right now. The Dow Jones is a little disturbing because I like the overall pattern, but look at how this ADX has just plummeted here. Instead of pulling back underneath 25 and then kind of getting things going again, it just keeps dropping. And what I don't like is this upward drift. We've got this upward drift taking place where price is sort of climbing like this, and the MACD is going the other way. So it just makes me think that the likelihood is we've got a little dip coming. Now, I'm not calling for a reversal based on this or this, but I could see us coming down to maybe test support down 340-ish, somewhere in that zone, maybe a little bit lower. I think that's becoming more and more likely if we don't get a push here pretty soon. So where the spider actually looks like it might want to climax to the upside, this just doesn't have the same kind of pattern. But it's keying off the 18-week is important on the DIA. We've held it here, held it here, held it again here, and then again here. If we break that, then I think it opens up something that could be, what I would qualify as a correction. So just something to watch for on that. And then finally, the IWN has continued to work sideways. Now we're getting another push. Now I've been talking about this for a while. Notice how this keeps providing support down here. A significant amount of support in the 210, 220 zone for the IWM. I don't think this is going to break out this time. I think this is going to come up and come down one more time, because I do think these moving averages, the 18 and 40, want to come together, and we're getting closer and closer to the zero line on MACD. Once we have that in position, then we want to be on the lookout for signs of a breakout, or even some signs where the momentum is increasing on the daily chart, and we can do some kind of a probe trade before the breakout in anticipation of a breakout. So we'll keep doing this update and see if it develops that way. Probably a couple weeks at least away from seeing something like that develop, but want to keep talking about it. We have to keep going through these individual indexes. For the spider, we want to keep going through this, because at some point we're going to get signs of ending action. We haven't had it. It just keeps trending to the upside, and as long as it does, you have an upward bias. When we see signs of ending action, then we got to pull in our horns and be a lot more defensive. All right, so that's the update for the week. We'll see you next time.